Time stood still. One moment. I was stepping through my front door, designer luggage in hand, a smile of anticipation lighting up my face as I prepared to surprise my husband. The next, I found myself frozen, witnessing my entire world crumble like a fragile house of cards. The lavish bottle of champagne I had carefully brought back from my business trip slipped from my unsteady grip, shattering against our exquisite Italian marble floor in a spectacular display. As I arrived home ahead of schedule, my heart raced with anticipation to reunite with them. In that moment, their gaze fell upon me. To my astonishment, it was I who found myself taken aback. In that moment, my husband Colton stood there, his bare chest shimmering beneath the gentle blue glow of our jacuzzi. On either side of him were Elowin and Riley, my two closest friends since college, the very same friends who had assisted me in selecting that very jacuzzi 6 months prior as an anniversary gift for us. "Oh my goodness, Allison!" Riley exclaimed, water flying everywhere as she hurried to shield herself. Colton's face turned pale, as if all the life had been sucked out of it. "Darling, you've returned home sooner than expected." Elowin was completely unguarded. She gazed at me, champagne flute still in hand, a subtle, nearly undetectable smirk dancing at the edge of her lips. I remained motionless, my designer luggage firmly held in my left hand. The aroma of my luxurious candles filled the air while the soothing melodies of my favorite playlist danced through the sound system. They gathered in my home celebrating with my champagne, enjoying the things I had provided with my family's resources. "What's the duration?" My voice felt like it belonged to another world, echoing from a distant place. Silence lingered in the air. "How so lengthy?" I struck the wall with such force that the framed picture of our wedding day fell to the ground, shattering the glass across the marble floor. Colton rose to his feet, droplets of water streaming down his form. "Allie, allow me to share my side of the tale." "What do you mean?" With a fierce cry, I tossed my handbag toward him. He ducked, yet the moment slipped through his fingers. It struck him on the temple. "Excellent. Explain how you chose to betray our trust with my closest friends in our home in the jacuzzi that I purchased for you." Elowin finally spoke, her voice laced with insincere worry. "Allison, darling, perhaps it's time for you to take a seat." "Don't you dare, sweetie me," I hissed, moving closer to the jacuzzi. "You have been chosen as my maid of honor for the wedding. There was a time when I stepped in to help you during a tough moment for your business. We journeyed together through the heartache of 2 endings. Riley's tears flowed freely, her mascara creating dark trails down her cheeks. It unfolded unexpectedly. Allie, we had no intention of it happening. It unfolded just like that. A chilling, eerie laugh escaped my lips, a sound so foreign to me that it sent shivers down my spine. "What is it? You stumbled and found yourself in quite an unexpected situation with my husband. Are you both involved?" "Time and again." Colton stepped out of the jacuzzi towel draped around his waist, moving toward me with a carefulness as if I were a creature of the wild. "Darling, I think it would be best if we discuss this just between us." In a personal setting, with a swift motion, I seized the closest item, a crystal vase brimming with blooms he likely purchased for their secret meeting, and sent it flying across the room. It burst apart against our limestone fireplace, sending water and lilies scattering in all directions. "Like how secretly you've been messing with my friends. Were there only these two, Colton? Or could it have been something greater? Could it have been all the people I'm familiar with?" My chest heaved each breath, a battle against the weight of betrayal pressing in from every direction. 7 years of shared experiences. For 12 years, the bond with Elowin has woven a tapestry of shared experiences and cherished moments. Once upon a time, there was a moment shared with Riley, a tale of 9 adventures waiting to unfold. Everything. Each recollection, each shared moment of laughter, each whisper unveiled, now marked by shadows, twisted and broken. Once upon a time, there was a character named Allison Elowin, finally stood unashamed and fearless, radiating confidence. Such events unfold in life. Every marriage has its own journey. We believed that in time you would come to see things our way. Got it. I was trembling so intensely that I could hardly keep my balance. You really believed I would accept that the three individuals I held in the highest regard have been deceiving me all along? For what duration? Weeks, you say. What about the months? Decades. The glance they shared spoke volumes. For years, I murmured, as the ground appeared to sway beneath my feet. Time has passed, and it feels like ages. Colton extended his hand towards me. Allie, please keep your distance. With a sudden burst of emotion, I shouted and swatted his hand away so fiercely that my wedding ring, the stunning 3-carat diamond he had presented to me beneath the Eiffel Tower, went flying and danced across the floor. What made you think this was the right choice for us? I poured my heart and soul into it all. And I did. In the days of my youth. My faith. The ties within my family that set his journey in motion. This house was purchased with the funds from my trust fund, the time dedicated to nurturing his aspirations, while my own remained in the background. Riley stood at the threshold fully dressed, a sense of anticipation in the air as they prepared to step outside. I believe we ought to provide you with some room to breathe. Oh no, I said with an unsettling calmness, as a chilling, methodical feeling started to take the place of my once fiery anger. It seems like everyone is staying put. Did you long to be woven into the fabric of this union? And now the conclusion unfolds before your eyes. Prime viewing experience. Colton's face grew even more ashen. Allie, think carefully before you speak. What if I chuckled once more as tears at last escaped and flowed down my cheeks? The sole thing I look back on with regret is spending 7 years with a man who couldn't even find the courage to deceive me with others. You also needed to bring along my friends. As I gazed into their faces, Colton's eyes wide with fear, Riley's cheeks marked by tears of remorse, and Elowen's expression marked by a calm deliberation, the events of the past 10 years unfolded in my mind with striking precision. The journeys for work, where my messages were left unanswered. The evenings spent with the girls filled with curious inquiries about my return time always had a unique charm. The way Colton occasionally carried the essence of Elowen's distinctive fragrance, it was a tale of deep treachery. It was a battle of the mind. They wove a web of deceit, casting shadows over my thoughts and leaving me questioning my own reality, all while sharing secret laughter in the background. Have you ever noticed something amusing? I spoke, brushing away my tears with the back of my hand. I always imagined that when this moment arrived, I would be the one stepping out that door, yet here I am staying put. I strolled over to the bar cart, filled a hefty glass with Colton's cherished 30-year Macallan, and swallowed it in a single fiery sip. Welcome to my humble abode. It was my resources that brought it to life. The name of my family is inscribed on the deed. With a bittersweet smile, I felt a plan beginning to take shape in my thoughts. Settle in, everyone, because the journey ahead is about to take a turn that will challenge you all in unexpected ways. The following day unfolded in a whirlwind of fury, sorrow, and meticulous planning. Colton trailed behind me in the house, a shadow filled with desperation swinging between sorrowful apologies and exasperated pleas for me to see things his way. It makes sense, as if there could be a sensible reaction to discovering that your whole existence was a meticulously crafted deception. Just tell me what you want, Colton pleaded, as I carefully took his expensive suits from our closet, stacking them neatly in the hallway. Wealth. What about the house? I'm ready to offer you whatever you need. I paused, a harsh chuckle slipping from my mouth. It seems that has consistently been your approach, hasn't it? Pour resources into challenges until they vanish. With a swift motion, I liberated his cherished collection of vintage watches from the confines of the safe. But I'm not a puzzle. You can piece together with your wallet. Colton, that's a thing of the past. The truth was unfolding like a well-worn tale, each twist and turn uncovering deeper layers of intrigue. As Colton stood under the cascading water, likely rinsing off the remnants of his earlier escapades, I took a moment to glance at his phone. Since the day we tied the knot, that password remained untouched. Once upon a time, a special day arrived, marking the celebration of another year in my life. How moving. The discovery left me feeling utterly nauseated. Conversations among the trio that weave through the fabric of time. There were intentions to gather during my absence, images that I found too difficult to gaze upon for even a fleeting moment, and even more troubling messages that ridicule me. "She truly thinks we're simply enjoying a spa day," Riley had penned. Elowen responded, her laughter echoing in my mind. "Our sweet, naive Allison," accompanied by a laughing emoji that etched itself into my memory. They wove a tale of betrayal that cut deeper than I ever imagined. They found it delightful. They reveled in the very act of deception. As I settled onto the cool bathroom floor, my phone pressed tightly against my heart. I surrendered to a wave of emotion, letting 5 minutes slip away in a storm of quiet, intense tears. Only a fleeting moment of vulnerability before the true journey unfolded. When Colton discovered me, I had regained my composure, methodically scrolling through his messages with a certain detachment. "What tales are you weaving today?" Fear tinged his words. "That information is personal, confidential." I gazed up at him, my tone eerily composed, like the little anecdotes you three exchanged about my foolishness, just like the intimate video Elowen captured of the two of you in our bed while I was attending my father's funeral. His expression twisted in a way that spoke volumes. That was an error in judgment. "We were inebriated, and do you remember last Christmas?" I pressed on, raising the phone high, "when you shared that you had food poisoning and couldn't attend my mother's dinner yet. Somehow felt well enough to join them at that cabin in Aspen." Colton settled onto the rim of the bathtub, his head cradled in his hands. "Allie, I kindly ask you not to refer to me that way." I lost my composure. Only those who hold a special place in their hearts for me refer to me as Allie. With a sense of triumph, I sent every damning message to my own phone before I dropped his phone into the water, ending the conversation abruptly, the splash echoing my victory. His anguished cry as he fished it out brought me a brief flicker of joy amidst the chaos that had unfolded. As the sun dipped below the horizon, my phone buzzed incessantly with messages from Elowen and Riley, each one a mix of remorse and justification. I turned a blind eye to them all. Instead, I reached out to the one person I was certain would get it. "Let me share a bit about my older sister, Madeline." Without hesitation, she declared, "I'll be there in an hour." No further inquiries were made. "Refrain from putting your signature on any document. Hold off on making any commitments. And for heaven's sake, please change the locks." Madeline made her entrance like a fierce guardian in her striking Louboutins, accompanied by her husband, the lawyer, James. She cast a glance at Colton, who was still attempting to reason with me in the kitchen, and gestured toward the door. "Leave," she instructed. At this moment, "This is my house," he insisted, his voice barely rising above a whisper. James stepped forward, his usual softness transformed into an unyielding resolve. "As Allison's legal representative, I must share that this house is entirely in her name. The details of your prenuptial agreement vividly outline how the assets gained from her family trust will be divided." Colton's face twisted with fury, the first genuine feeling I had witnessed from him in ages. "You reached out to your lawyer before having a conversation with me, following 7 years of togetherness, following 7 years of deception." I set him straight. "And indeed, I reached out to my family, the ones who truly care for me." What an intriguing idea, don't you think? As Colton was led away, I fell into Madeline's embrace, surrendering to the weight of my emotions at last. She embraced me as I wept, shouted, and fumed, shifting between profound sorrow and a fury so fierce it took my breath away. What was it that made me fall short? I continued to plead, my voice trembling with emotion. What is it about me that those I hold dear could act this way? Madeline gently ran her fingers through my hair, just as she used to when we were young. "There's absolutely nothing amiss with you. Some individuals carry an emptiness within Allison. They consume endlessly, yet their hunger remains unquenched." James served us tea and softly started reaching out to our family attorney, a private security firm, and a therapist who focused on healing from betrayal. Skilled, effective, compassionate. All the facades Colton had crafted. That night, as I lay in the guest room, unable to confront the bed I'd once shared with Colton, my phone illuminated with a message from Elowen. "It's time for a conversation. This goes beyond your own experience. Our lives are just as important." Companies united. One cannot simply destroy everything in a fit of emotion. I gazed intently at those words, because your emotions are wounded, until they became indistinct in my weeping. 7 years of shared experiences, a journey of more than 10 years of camaraderie, left with nothing but wounded emotions. That's when a realization took shape within me. A crisp, unwavering intention. They believed they understood who I was. Delightful believing in Allison, the eternal mediator. The individual who offered forgiveness with open arms and embraced love without hesitation. Yet they were unaware of the depths of my potential when that bond was broken. They were completely unaware of the transformation that occurred once the gloves were removed. I replied with just one line, "Indeed, you have a point. Let's have a conversation." Every one of us. As I flipped open my laptop, a world of possibilities unfolded before me, and I dove into my tasks with enthusiasm. If they sought to shatter my deepest affections, I would ensure they felt the weight of their actions in return. With great care and attention to detail, with intention and without compassion. As they were caught up in their schemes against me, they overlooked one vital piece of the puzzle. I was more than just Colton's devoted partner or their steadfast companion. I held a quiet yet significant stake in both of their ventures. The silent supporter whose contributions laid the foundation for their aspirations, and by morning I'd make it clear just who they had decided to turn against. "Are you really sure you want to embark on this journey?" James inquired, pushing the pile of documents over the dining table that had become our strategic hub. "Once these wheels start turning, there's no way to reverse course." With a steady hand, I inscribed my name. A sense of calm washing over me, catching me off guard. There's a profound clarity within me that I've never experienced before. 3 days had passed since the event that Madeline had playfully named the JACUZZI incident. 3 days of careful preparation, exploring financial records, business agreements, and social connections in detail. 3 days of uncovering the depths of vulnerability that Colton, Elwyn, and Riley had exposed themselves to in their hubris. Madeline watched with intrigue, reflecting on the documents I had signed, "Never expecting you to stand your ground. That's the error they'll come to regret." She had a point. In their imaginations, I was the mediator, the problem solver, the one who sidestepped discord at every turn. They anticipated sorrow, perhaps a tumultuous separation, but in the end they anticipated that I would withdraw and nurse my wounds in solitude. They were unprepared for the intricacies of strategic conflict. My initial step was a financial one. As the quiet supporter behind Elwyn's chic wellness brand and Riley's stylish interior design firm, I had skillfully utilized roles they had conveniently overlooked. In their rush to secure my family's financial backing during their early ventures, they eagerly inked agreements that granted me significant influence, agreements they evidently hadn't revisited in quite some time. Tomorrow marks an important gathering for Elwyn's company as the board meeting is set to unfold, a detail confirmed by my financial advisor during our phone conversation. As you asked, we've gathered the details surrounding the fund misappropriation and the unauthorized personal expenses. A faint smile crossed my lips. Absolutely wonderful. What about the commercial property that Riley has been utilizing? The notice for lease termination has been sent out. They have a month to find a new place to call home. Though I had always played the role of the supportive friend quietly standing in the background, I found myself stepping into the spotlight, ready to draw upon every resource, every favor, and every legal right at my disposal. Yet the journey had only just commenced. "Your private investigator has arrived," Madeline declared, welcoming Diane, a former FBI agent, known for her keen attention to detail and ability to keep secrets. Diane dove straight into the heart of the matter. With a glint of excitement in her eyes, she opened her laptop and revealed the detailed accounts she had gathered on all 3 targets. "I've stumbled upon some intriguing links that you may not have noticed before. For the next hour, I uncovered revelations about my husband and closest friends that left me feeling uneasy. Colton's nights were filled with more than just dreams of Elwyn and Riley. There had been many, many others, often women intertwined with the business deals he was striving to finalize. In essence, Diane described how he employed intimacy as a strategic maneuver in his dealings. Your friends played a role that was just as much about guiding the experience as it was about being part of it. A sudden memory struck me. Elowen eagerly presenting Colton to the spouse of a prospective investor, emphasizing the many shared interests they would discover together, Riley orchestrating dinner gatherings where I found myself placed at a distance from Colton and some particular female attendees. They didn't merely turn against me, they transformed me into a pawn, exploiting my social status, my relationships, and my naivety as instruments in their elaborate plots. There's even more, Diane went on. In the course of my investigation, I uncovered some intriguing details regarding the financial practices of both women's enterprises. For at least 2 years, Mr. Reynolds has been concealing assets, perhaps in preparation for a possible divorce. 2 long years. As I meticulously crafted the details of our anniversary getaway, my husband was quietly mapping out his exit strategy. I rose suddenly and made my way to the window, gazing out at our beautifully tended garden. I desire every bit of it, each fragment of proof, every scandalous nuance, every monetary misstep. Allison James spoke thoughtfully, seeking retribution is something one can comprehend. Yet this isn't a tale of retribution. I paused, shifting my gaze to the gathering around me. This is a tale of fairness and safeguarding. They joined forces to tear me down in every way possible, targeting my spirit, and in time they would have aimed to undermine me financially as well. I inhaled deeply. I'm just making sure I take the initiative. Under the cover of darkness, I crafted the same message and sent it to each of them one by one. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the house, just you. Come ready for a tale. This is the final opportunity to find a peaceful resolution. Their replies were, as expected, focused on their own interests. Colton, after much thought, I've decided to bring the divorce papers, Elowen. The moment has finally arrived. This situation is detrimental to all involved. Riley, what a relief. Your well-being has been on my mind a lot lately. I chuckled with a hint of darkness, revealing the messages to Madeline, who had steadfastly chosen to remain by my side during this challenging time. She marveled at their belief in control, as if they were being called to yield. Let them think that, I replied as I wrapped up the final details for tomorrow's meeting. They've always made the mistake of underestimating me, and that has been their undoing. That night enveloped me in an unusual tranquility as I reflected on the clues Diane had meticulously collected, the financial strategies James had skillfully orchestrated, and the subtle social ties Madeline had deftly engaged. As dawn broke, everything had fallen into its rightful spot. As I prepared for the impending showdown, I selected my attire with intention, donning a sharp white suit that my father gifted me upon my promotion to partner at his firm prior to stepping aside to champion Colton's ambitions. Jewels that once belonged to my grandmother, hair drawn tightly away from the face, bold red lipstick applied with precision. The reflection staring back was familiar, yet held an air of mystery, as if it were a tale waiting to be unraveled. More resilient, more challenging, a person who faced the impossible and came out more formidable than ever. Are you certain you wouldn't prefer my presence during the meeting? Madeline inquired, her voice laced with worry. I gently shook my head, a silent response to the unfolding narrative. I must embark on this journey by myself. However, I require you to carry out your role in the plan exactly at 4:30. She nodded, recognizing how crucial the moment was. All is set and prepared. The announcement to the media, the updates shared on social platforms, the documentation prepared for the partners. One message from you and I unleashed the beast. Her dark wit brought a smile to my face. Absolutely wonderful. As the clock neared 3 p.m., I found myself in the living room, not seated, but standing by the fireplace, ready for what was to unfold, a place of influence. On the coffee table rested 3 identical manila folders, each adorned with names penned in my meticulous handwriting. Once the doorbell chimed, breaking the stillness of the moment, I paused for a moment, inhaling deeply, and then gave a subtle nod to the security personnel that James had thoughtfully placed around the house. Invite them in. I urged everyone together. The moment had arrived for the most unforgettable showcase of my journey. They arrived as if plucked from various narratives, compelled to coexist on a single platform. Colton entered with an air of feigned bravado. Elowen moved with a deliberate grace, and Riley shuffled in, wearing a mask of exaggerated regret. They all averted their gazes, lost in their own thoughts. Each of them cast cautious glances in my direction. Thank you for being here, I remarked, my tone calm and composed. Kindly, take a seat. Colton approached his familiar armchair, but he hesitated when I gave a subtle shake of my head. It's not present. Please bring the couch. Everyone united as one. They shared a look, yet yielded to the moment, settling down next to each other with an air of discomfort reminiscent of reprimanded youngsters. Excellent. Allow them to experience discomfort. Is that you? Ali Colton started to share his tale. I raised a single finger. Allow me to share my thoughts. You will hear, that's the way things unfold now. Elowen let out a sigh, her tolerance beginning to fade. We understand you're in pain. However prolonging this situation is, I remarked, cutting in my tone, lowering ominously, I have a tale to share. My tone carried a weight that hushed her completely. Maybe it was the total lack of the accommodating woman they were accustomed to controlling. I pointed towards the folders resting on the coffee table. These are meant for every one of you. But before you open them, I want to share a tale with you. Colton fidgeted restlessly. We have a limited window, and it's up to me to determine how long that will be, I interjected. Think of it as compensation for the 7 years you took from me that silenced him. In a distant past, I found myself wandering back and forth in front of them. Once there was a woman who held loyalty as her highest virtue, who believed that love was about uplifting the dreams of others, even if it meant sacrificing her own aspirations. She placed her trust wholeheartedly in those she cherished, unable to fathom the idea of betrayal among her loved ones. Riley averted her gaze, her eyes falling to her hands. Elowen kept her face a blank canvas. Colton appeared restless, eager to dive into the impending settlement negotiation he anticipated. This woman, I went on, was cherished not only for her kindness, but also for her lineage, her relationships, her wealth, and the opportunities she could provide. I paused right in front of them, locking eyes with each one in sequence. In her relentless pursuit of being helpful, she remained blissfully unaware of the ways she was being taken advantage of, until one fateful day when she returned home earlier than usual. I allowed those words to linger in the atmosphere, thick with significance. Now, I said, gesturing to the folders, you may unveil your essence. With a mix of excitement and uncertainty, they reached for the folders. Colton opened his first, then paused, his expression shifting as the color faded from his face. What is this all about? He shared a secret. Elowen and Riley found themselves in a whirlwind of emotions, their fingers racing over the pages as anxiety mounted with each turn. That, I remarked with a hint of warmth, is a detailed account of your treachery. Documents of finance messages, exchanged receipts from stays captured, moments, accounts from observers. Colton, your account also reveals some intriguing narratives about your financial practices with client funds at your firm. Elowen, your narrative brings to light the issues surrounding your tax evasion and the counterfeit ingredients in your so-called all-natural products. Riley, your records reveal how you've been billing clients for exclusive European imports that are in fact Chinese replicas. Riley's tears started to flow. Allison, if you would be so kind. I still have more to share. I carried on with a sense of tranquility. This morning, I took decisive action as the majority shareholder, choosing to relieve both Elowen and Riley of their operational control over their companies. Colton, I've shared some intriguing details regarding your financial activities with the Bar Association and the SEC. Colton rose to his feet, his expression twisted in fury. This isn't something you can accomplish. You are my partner in life. In that moment, a smile crept across my face. As of 9 a.m. today, I find myself in a different place. This morning marked the conclusion of a chapter as the divorce was finalized, rooted in undeniable truths of betrayal. Judge Hannigan, who shared many rounds of golf with my father, showed a great deal of understanding towards my predicament. Elowen sprang to her feet. This is absolutely wild. It's not fair to upend our existence simply because we've caused you pain. I'm not ruining your lives just because my feelings were hurt. I elaborated. I'm here to ensure you face the consequences of your actions, believing you could evade the truth and avoid any repercussions. I glanced at my watch, and in about a minute and a half this responsibility is revealed to everyone. Riley gazed upward, tears of mascara cascading down her cheeks. Can you explain what that signifies? What I meant to convey was that at precisely 3:30 p.m. announcements outlining the business activities of all three of you will be distributed to every prominent business publication. Your clients will be presented with emails revealing the narrative of how you've been deceiving them, and chosen snapshots of your group conversations, the ones where you ridiculed me, arranged your meetups, and plotted how to leverage my connections, will be shared on social media. As the hue faded from Elowyn's complexion, a tale of unease began to unfold. "Oh, I see you're feeling brave. The former Allison certainly wouldn't," I concurred, yet I no longer embody her essence. It was in that jacuzzi just 3 days past that her life was taken. Colton surged forward, closing the distance between us. Just as he was about to get to me, 2 security guards appeared from the next room, swiftly holding him back. I suggested steering clear of any physical confrontation, I remarked with a sense of tranquility. These gentlemen are capturing every moment, and a charge of that nature wouldn't improve your already delicate legal circumstances. Colton fought against their grip. "Do you believe you've triumphed? Without my presence, you are just a shadow of what you could be. I created you." A burst of laughter escaped me, a true expression of joy that caught everyone off guard. "No, Colton." I softened my glow to allow yours to radiate. "There exists a distinction." I gave a subtle nod to the guards. "Kindly guide Mr. Reynolds on his way out. Next week, when my attorneys are there, he will be able to collect his personal belongings." As Colton was pulled from the room shouting curses, Elowyn decided to take a different path. "Allison, let's think this through," she said, her voice calm and gentle. "We can find a way through this together. Reflect on the journey we've shared, the bond we've built." "I've pondered it," I responded, "and I've come to the realization that it was an elaborate scheme. Our friendship seems to have been born from the ties that bind our families, doesn't it? Your presence seemed to revolve around gaining access to my husband and our finances." A vibration from my phone caught my attention. I caught a glimpse of it and felt a smile spread across my face. Just as expected. The announcements have been made. While you might want to glance at your phones, I suspect you'll be preoccupied with the flood of calls from frustrated clients and investigators, leaving little room for thoughts of social media for the time being. The expressions of growing dread on their faces as their phones erupted with notifications were moments I would cherish for all time. "Leave," I whispered softly. "Your journeys as you once understood them have come to an end. However, in contrast to your actions, I conducted everything by the book with integrity, and I have the documentation to prove it." As they made their way to the door, fraught with disbelief and despair, I called out to them. "Oh, and Elowyn, let me share something with you, Riley. The jacuzzi has vanished from its place. I gave it to the community center that my family established. Initially, I made sure it was completely sanitized, naturally. 6 months unfolded like a journey through fever dreams, intense, bewildering, and at times excruciating, yet leading to a place of restoration." As I leaned against the balcony railing of my new penthouse, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over a city that had transformed from a backdrop of my deepest shame to a canvas of new beginnings. The crispness of autumn whispered of change where endings pave the way for new beginnings. A familiar voice called out from behind me, announcing the arrival of the wine delivery. As I glanced over, I noticed Madeline making her way towards me, carrying 2 glasses and a bottle of champagne, ready to share a moment filled with anticipation. It may not be Colton's top choice, but it's definitely the one that captures my heart. "Is there a special occasion we're honoring?" I inquired, taking a glass with a nod. She smiled with delight. "Did you happen to catch the news today?" I gently shook my head, a silent response to the unfolding narrative. As I navigated my journey to recovery, I made the choice to cut back on media consumption. My focus shifted towards reconstructing my life and reviving the career I had set aside to nurture Colton's dreams. Madeline retrieved an article on her phone and passed it to me. The headline took my breath away. Once a respected attorney, Colton Reynolds now finds himself in a web of deceit as he admits to his wrongdoings, pleading guilty to charges of fraud. Characters aged 5 to 7 years. Underneath, there was yet another headline, "Deceptive Practices in Wellness." In a dramatic turn of events, Eloin Chen's company finds itself in the throes of bankruptcy, facing the weight of class action lawsuits that have unfolded like a gripping narrative. And further down, a creator of enchanting spaces for the elite, Riley Martinez, hands over their license following a consumer protection inquiry. I returned the phone to Madeline, taken aback by my own response. There was an emptiness within me. No victory, no redemption. Now there exists a serene void where once there was only the fire of animosity. You won, Madeline said, her glass meeting mine with a cheerful clink. Exactly as you envisioned. I gently shook my head, a silent response to the unfolding narrative. I came away empty-handed. I finally turned the tide. As we enjoyed our champagne, a comfortable quiet enveloped us, our eyes drawn to the city lights that started to sparkle in the deepening twilight. So Madeline finally asked, "Have you made up your mind about the offer?" It was an opportunity to join forces with one of the nation's most esteemed law firms, a role I had once envisioned for myself before putting my legal aspirations on hold to become the partner Colton required. Neither of us could overlook the irony that his downfall had created new opportunities for me. "I've got it. I've confirmed. I begin my journey next month." Madeline radiated joy. Father would surely beam with pride. Could he? I pondered with a sense of curiosity. At times, I wonder if he would be appalled by my actions. The method of leaving nothing behind. The exposure of shame. Can you believe it? Madeline let out a dismissive laugh. He shared with us the profound lesson that true justice must always be accompanied by accountability. You wove a tale of retribution, Allison. You shielded others from falling prey to them in the days to come. She made a valid observation. The information I had collected not only led to repercussions for Colton, Eloin, and Riley, but also unveiled broader schemes of deceit and wrongdoing within their fields. Those who could have faced a grim fate were now shielded from harm. My phone let out a soft chime. A message from James letting me know he was waiting downstairs with the car. This evening marked the annual charity gala, a gathering I had previously experienced as Colton's companion. This year, I received recognition for the scholarship foundation I created to support those who have endured psychological abuse. Are you prepared to step into the spotlight as your true self? Madeline inquired, assisting me as I slipped into my coat. I nodded, a wave of feelings washing over me. Reflecting on that woman from 6 months past, I find myself in the same place where she believed her journey had reached its end. What comes next? At that moment, I realized it was merely the start of something greater. As we descended in the elevator, memories of the past 6 months unfolded in my mind. The moments in therapy when I unleashed my emotions, letting out screams and tears, ultimately finding a path to forgive myself for the deception I endured. The heartfelt exchanges with my family, who gathered around me, offering support without any criticism. The new companions I had encountered. Genuine connections formed through shared respect instead of mere usefulness. Last month, a letter arrived from Riley filled with heartfelt remorse penned from the Substance Abuse Treatment Center, where she was courageously confronting her struggles. I found myself at a crossroads contemplating whether the act of letting go was within my reach or even appropriate. Yet the realization that I could absorb her words without that intense ache was a significant step forward for the time being. As we entered the refreshing evening breeze, a journalist spotted me and came over. "Ms. Bennett, could you share your thoughts on Colton Reynolds' guilty plea that occurred today?" I had the option to overlook him, to deliver a sharp retort. Instead, I beamed with sincerity. Here's what I have to share. At times, the most challenging experiences can pave the way for your greatest transformation. I hope that all those affected find solace and insight as they move ahead. Now, if you'll allow me, I have a narrative to unfold. As we drove away, Madeline held my hand tightly, a silent tale of connection unfolding between us. That was quite generous. I nodded, observing my childhood surroundings fade away in the rearview mirror. "Have you ever thought about something that struck you?" I whispered gently. They were never truly in control. I shared it with them, and that instant I reclaimed it was the instant I genuinely found my freedom. The city lights danced and shimmered as we journeyed into the unknown that awaited us. One constructed not from the remnants of deceit, but from the unwavering strength of a woman who has come to recognize her true value